Hi, my name is Paulette Andre. For this thread, I was able to find two articles that had information about ethical violations of licensed professional counselors. For this discussion, I did have to look up cases in the state of Louisiana because for some reason I could not find any in Georgia. So the first article, Rollins and Graham's 2021, found that the top disciplinary actions taken between 2009 and 2013 were failure to obtain CE requirements or complete them, dual relationships, and unprofessional conduct. Magis, the second article I found from 2019, also found that legal issues and undisclosed legal issues were high among the group of licensees who had between 2 and 5 years of licensure, which I found really, really interesting. When I looked at the completed cases for the state of Louisiana, I did notice that the data wasn't too far off. 5 out of the 8 cases completed this year were failures to report some kind of legal issue, an arrest or a past legal issue, a current arrest or a past legal issue. Two were failure to take the NBCC exam before renewing their licenses, and then one was for drinking while providing services. Both articles highlighted unprofessional conduct and legal issues, respectively, as a common reason for disciplinary action taken against a counselor. When I reviewed current cases from this year, 14 to be exact, I saw a variety of reasons for these actions, including fraud, um, uh, supposedly providing services to a client that does not exist. Legal issues like a hit and run, DUIs, DWIs, abandonment, practicing while the license was suspended, and sexual and dual relationships. FYI, in writing the sexual and dual relationships piece, I did have to look up what the difference was. So dual relationship is any other relationship besides a therapeutic one that is happening at the same time between a counselor and a client, and then sexual relationship is just that. It's a dual relationship, but it's sexual in nature. While all of these actions call for attention, the one that stood out the most was a counselor who did not learn his lesson apparently. This counselor, and I quote, failed to timely report his arrest and misdemeanor charges for operating a vehicle while intoxicated in January 2018, operating a vehicle while under suspension in April 2018, and operating a vehicle while intoxicated and reckless operation of a vehicle in May 2018, and then being a fugitive in April of 2019. So, just a hot mess going on there. While reviewing the GA state code, the most relevant rule I found would be Rule 135-7, and 2B, 021 and 2B, integrity. The licensee shall act in accordance with the highest standards of professional integrity and competence. The licensee is honest in dealing with clients, students, trainees, colleagues, and the public. The licensee seeks to eliminate incompetence or dishonesty from the profession. Unprofessional conduct includes, but is not limited to, engaging in dishonesty, fraud, deceit, or misrepresentation while performing professional activities. The ACA standard that I think most applies here is impairment, which was also violated clearly. That states that a counselor monitors themselves for signs of impairment from their own physical, mental, or emotional problems and refrain from offering or providing professional service when impaired. They seek for assistance for problems that reach the level of professional impairment, and if necessary, they limit, suspend, or terminate their professional responsibilities until it is determined they may safely resume their work. This counselor, who had the repeated offenses, was clearly impaired, clearly needed to step back from his professional duties. Something is going on. But instead, I guess he just kept on going. Um, the the ramifications of his actions are that he chose to enter into a consent agreement, which is kind of like a contract with the state licensing board, instead of having an administrative hearing and possible, more criminal charges. So he agreed to being suspended for 6 months. He has to complete six continuing education hours in ethics, and those classes must be approved by the NBCC, the ACA, or the Louisiana Counseling Association before his suspension ends. Sign an MOU with the Professional Assistance Program and pay a fine of $500 within 2 years. Based on my readings, counselor impairment can happen in all extremes and forms, which is why the ACA mentions the multiple facets of impairment. I think this counselor in particular should have been ordered to attend some form of counseling and possibly AA. As far as my ethics and faith go, if I see a fellow counselor struggling or heading down the road of impairment, I would definitely talk to that person to see what's going on. What could I do to help? Should we involve other parties for them to receive the support they need? And if they refuse and I see it, getting worse or continuing, then that's when we would have to bring in a supervisor to step in, because it's one thing to show up late for a session, it's another to show up late and drunk or to flirt with a client, which leads to more boundary, breaking issues. Anyway, thank you for listening to my post and have a good one.